Hi, welcome to the Pinklight Project. I'm Amanda Pinkerman, and today I have special guest, Dina Kleiman. Welcome, Dina.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So Dina and I met back in 2011. We took a course together, a clairvoyant intuitive course that we were both certified in. So I've known her for quite a long time, and I'm really excited to have her here today to tell us about what she does and how she's making a difference in the world. So Dina, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I am an energy healer and a hypnotherapist, and the short of it is I help people be happy. I help people let go of things that are weighing them down, and I also help people connect with their best possible version of them, and also help them to connect with their spirit guides, their home planet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How exciting.
So the heavy stuff, that's important to go into as you probably went on your journey looking at all the hurts in this life and past lives ancestrally. But what's also important is to find your greatness.
Oh, I like that. I don't think we focus enough on that.
I think it's so much easier to focus on what is awful about us than to focus about what makes us wonderful. And I found that's actually harder for a lot of people to say, I'm a great artist, I'm a great teacher, I am a great computer programmer, I'm a great financial analyst. It's hard for people to say that.
And that really comes about loving yourself, learning to love yourself.
Very much, and learning to be okay with yourself and to be okay with your gifts.
That is huge. I think I need that. And on my videos, if you've been watching me, I talk a lot about being worthy and working on that process of myself. So you are the right guest today. So can you tell us a little bit about what triggered you to get on your path?
Well, it was my teeth that started it all. I went to a doctor. I was experiencing tiredness all the time and just feeling weak and not feeling myself. And I went to a doctor who is a functional medicine or integrative doctor, and they start first with herbs and supplements, and they refer you to other non-traditional modalities to help your body to heal. They're also MDs, but they, instead of here, take this pill and call me in the morning, they give you other options. So this doctor, she asked me if I had any metal fillings in my teeth, and I said, yes, I have some from about 15 years ago. And she said, go ahead, get them out because they're leaking mercury into your body, and that is causing low energy and other symptoms, possibly. And so I went to get them out, and the dentist couldn't get me numb. They kept putting and putting Novocaine or whatever else they use. This was my lower jaw, and the teeth just wouldn't get numb. So I went to another dentist, and the same issue. The teeth just wouldn't get numb. No problem numbing the top teeth, but the bottom ones, they couldn't do it. So I went back to the doctor, and I said, I'm having this problem. And she said, why don't you go see a hypnotherapist? And I didn't quite understand why I needed to see a hypnotherapist. Looking back, she sent me to a hypnotherapist for pain management so that the Novocaine would take, or so that I would need less of it. So I went. This wonderful woman, it was my first time seeing any type of non-traditional healer aside from chiropractor and acupuncture. So didn't know what hypnotherapy was. And I talked to her. My appointment was supposed to be an hour. I talked to her for 2 hours. We talked about everything except my teeth. And then she had me lie down, and she took me on a guided journey. And in that guided journey, she helped me connect with my power. It wasn't really her intention, I don't think, to do that. I think her intention was just to help me be positive and to help me relax. But what happened was I saw my spirit being big. And I realized that I was feeling so small as a human. And wow, in reality, I'm a big spirit. I saw myself over the ocean, and I was the size of an ocean. And that kicked me out of the slump that I
My
was
gosh, I'm amazed. This is, how long ago was this? Like, how many years ago?
in. This wasn't that long ago. This was, I would say, 2011.
So the same year that we did the clairvoyant training together.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe 2010. 2010, 2011, something like that. And somehow I realized that I have been hiding in a shell. I built this protective barrier around myself, and I've been trying to hide in it. Later, I learned that I'm an empath, and actually she told me that. She told me that I'm an empath the next time I saw her. I didn't know what that was, but when she explained to me, it all made sense. And it all made sense why I was hiding in a cave and why I was so big about building my own bubble. So I would build this bubble, and I'd be comfortable in it, but it would always burst.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Yeah,
I did not know this about your journey. This is a beautiful story.
Yes, thank you. And you know how hard it is to keep building that bubble?
Yes, I personally do that all the time.
And I didn't know why I was doing, but I think I was also born with very strong sense of self-protection. And so I've been doing energy healing on myself and energy medicine since about 2000. I haven't gone to anybody before this hypnotherapist because I didn't know what even to ask for. Not even who to trust, but I didn't know what was out there. I have read books about how you imagine yourself in gold light, or books about how you imagine, let's say your knee hurts and you imagine it being hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold to get the energy flowing. So that wasn't new to me. That was natural to me. And even before then, before I was born, my mom, she used to do healing with her hands. So she would remove headaches and other pains. And this she did when she was in high school. But afterwards, she decided she's not going to do it anymore. So I never.
When you were in high school?
No,
or
when my mom was
in
in high school. By the time I was born, she wasn't doing that anymore.
Okay.
But she told me stories about how she used to do it. And she told me stories about her friend who was born with fetal alcohol syndrome. And the way it manifested in him was, I don't know if he was missing a piece of a finger or a piece of a thumb, but he had a physical sign of fetal alcohol syndrome. But he said energetically, he was so powerful. And now with all that I know, I see that that's kind of a gift. You know, the universe takes something and then gives us something back. So, but back to hypnotherapy. So I saw myself as this big spirit, and I realized I'm big. I realized I'm not this tiny human shell that has to protect herself from everything. And remember, 2011 was 2 years after the financial crisis. Remember 2009?
Yeah, I do remember. Yeah, that's when I kind of got started on my journey.
It was a very rough time. And there was major panic everywhere, panic on the news. And I love listening to NPR. And part of the reason I love listening to it is I love how they talk. Their voices are so beautiful and their pronunciation is so beautiful. And not being born here, I really love to listen to how people speak. So I got stuck listening to NPR, and that put me into an even bigger bubble too, because it's scary. They had guests on the show. They're telling them that they can't get a loan or how they lost things. And I just went into a total downward spiral. So after that hypnotherapist, I saw her again a short time afterwards. I did get my fillings taken out, but that wasn't because of hypnotherapy. I think that was just how a universe creates things for us. I found a dentist that knew how to work with nerves that grow in a non-traditional way. So apparently the nerves I have here, they don't grow exactly in the same way as for most people. And that's why, unless the dentist knows how to get to the nerve, they won't get to it. So I think the reason the whole story with the teeth was to bring me to that hypnotherapist. So some time passes, and I'm on this mailing list for a store called Awakenings. It is a metaphysical store and an amazing spiritual center.
And can you tell people where that's located if they're in the area?
It's in Orange County, California, in Laguna Hills.
And it's off of La Paz, right?
La Paz and 5. And it's owned by a family. And the family is a part of this metaphysical world, so it's not owned by some corporation who likes to sell crystals. That's important to know. It's a very special place, amazing energy in that place. Mm-hmm. And so they teach classes.
And that's where we met.
That's where we met, at a class through that.
Awakenings, yeah.
So now I've signed up for their mailing list years ago. Many years ago. Many years before then. And I would get the emails and I would ignore them. I would just either scroll through or erase.
Delete.
First email I paid attention to was the program where you and I met.
Oh my gosh.
I looked at that email. I understood every single word it said. I had no idea what it said. Like what it meant, I didn't know. I saw words. I knew what words meant, but put together, a multi-dimensional program, what is that? Okay, I know what a multi-dimensional is, but what is that? At that time, I didn't even know what to ask for. So the best I could ask for was I want to get in touch with angelic guides. That was as far as my brain knew in terms of that reality. Now, energetic working of the body, moving of the energy, acupuncture, Reiki, even though I didn't know Reiki then, but things that Reiki do, those I knew. But things that have to do with clairs, with your clairs, clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairaudience, that was all new to me. And it was kind of scary to me too, because what have I been exposed to? TV and gypsies.
Oh, really?
Right? So gypsies are the ones who do fortune telling.
Yes.
In my reality at that time. I have never met what we call now an intuitive. So I didn't even know what to ask when you go to an intuitive. Now I know that if you go to a good intuitive, you open up your ears and you listen. You don't even have to ask anything.
Right.
Back then, I knew nothing. So the class where we met is the class that started it all. And I don't like the word awakening, but I'll use it for a lack of a better term. My awakening came like that. It wasn't so much learning the stuff, it was remembering.
It is remembering.
Yeah.
Remembering who we are.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell us now now that you have this training and you're a Reiki master, correct? And so can you tell us what you do? Like how you are helping other people and how you're bringing that out to the world?
There are many things that I do. One thing is I teach group classes. And they are on various subjects that relate to spirituality and personal growth. I teach meditation classes, Reiki certification. I am starting a class.
I was certified by Dina. Back in 2015, my level 1 certification was with one of your group classes. Yeah.
Almost to the day. Look.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Time flies.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and I'm about to start a class, Spirituality for Beginners. So for people who, like me, how I used to be, who know that there's something out there, but don't really know where to look because they don't even know what to ask for. I'm also teaching a class, Meditation Through the Mandala. You know what a mandala is?
I do know what a mandala is.
And it's a 5-class series. Yesterday was the 3rd class. The healing that happens is so amazing.
Wow.
And in that class, we looked at our shadow, about things about ourselves which we choose to hide. the hard things, the dark things, and the beautiful things as well. And we reached into the heart and we drew a mandala that represented our shadow.
Wow, how beautiful.
It was so beautiful and so healing. And that class ended up being all women, so we had a bit of a women's circle in there, which I absolutely love. And other classes too. Oh, I have a class coming up at Awakenings for empaths.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic.
I think empathy is an amazing thing. I don't think it's something to hide from. I don't think it's something to be a victim to. I think it's a superpower. You just have to learn how to drive that Lamborghini.
I'm with you. I'm an empath, so I absolutely, it's wonderful. And it can be a little overwhelming at times. So it's learning how to shield yourself properly. So what kind of problems would people come to you with when they're looking for healing or a class?
Yeah. So for a class, it's usually not so much problem. It's just people feel like they have to attend this class. That's kind of the short of it. How I saw that email and I knew I had to go join you in that class. People feel like they have to be there.
Awesome.
In terms of privates, because I also see clients privately, and that's kind of the bulk of what I do. I do it in person, but I also do it over the phone. It's just very important to have headphones, so good connection.
Okay.
But it works the same way in person as over the phone because we're working with energy. And energy can be from a past life. The energy can be ancestral karma. The energy can be an energetic attachment. So sometimes people come to me saying, oh, I feel like I have this energy stuck to me. And we talk about it. It's often not what people think it is. Sometimes
surprise.
Yes, I'll just say quickly, people feel it's external, something attacking them externally, but it's not. It's us creating something, letting things out. Sometimes it's actually good. And in my healing process, I've been in a situation where I feel like there's an entity attached to me, but I know that it's something that I've released out of me, and now the next step is to just release it out. Sometimes people come to me too saying somebody is cursing me. And again, it's the same. My approach is the same as what's in here, not what's coming to you out there. Why it's coming to you.
Why you're creating it.
Why you're creating, why you're pulling it in. That's what we work on. So to summarize, past lives, we can look at past lives to see what happened in a past life that's impacting your situation today. What happened in your ancestral lineage that is impacting your situation today. What happened in your past, in your childhood. Lately, I've had a number of people who've had surgeries, and they say after the surgery, I've never been the same. And it doesn't have to be a bad surgery, although I've seen some people with 5-6 hour surgeries, but I had a woman who had an appendix removed when she was a teenager, and that's been impacting her today. Entity attachments, and I think those are kind of the big things we work on. Now, why do people come to me? What kind of issues? Well, it can be something specific, like I am a real estate agent and I'm afraid to cold call people. So fear of the phone.
Okay.
Another way to say it is business self-sabotage, because it's not really a fear of the phone, it's a fear of being successful.
Right.
So that's something specific. But a lot of times people will say, I've lost my mojo, or my energy is low, or I'm feeling down, or I know there's something in here, but I just can't access it. So something very generic or something very specific.
So can you tell us what can happen in a healing when somebody's working with you?
First, we talk.
Okay.
I'm a talker. As you might have already noticed.
No, this is great. We love talkers here.
I think, well, first of all, I think English is such a beautiful language.
Oh, thank you.
And so human beings were given language to communicate. And we have other ways of receiving information, but language is important. So I love talking to people. I'm also very much a left brain person, which is very logical. In my previous career, I was a computer programmer and an Oracle DBA, which is technology,
Yeah. Wow.
IT. I come from a family of mathematicians and engineers. So very, very logical, very left brain. And so for me, it's important to understand things first. And I've had healers and friends who've helped me along the way. And one thing I've always appreciated about them was they didn't tell me, oh, just close your eyes and feel. They were always, they let me have my own process in my head so I could understand things first. Once I understood them, or I understood that I don't need to understand them, then I could incorporate them. So I think talking is important and listening is important. I always ask a person why they're here. What are 3 things that they would like to work on today?
Okay.
As an intuitive, I don't need to know that. Spirit is going to tell me.
Right.
But for a client, it's important to hear it. It's important to set an intention. And it's important for them to know and to have a witness to know why they're here today and what they want to work on.
It kind of validates them, right? Mm-hmm. Allows them to have that space with you.
Yeah.
So can you tell us what kind of happens after you do a healing with someone?
Let me get back to
okay.
We didn't get to the juicy part.
Fast.
The juicy part. So after we talk, the client lies down. So either if they're with me, I have a table that I use.
Okay.
That's really comfy. I bought the widest table I could find so that the arms don't fall off. They'll lie down. If they're with me, I'll give them some crystals. So for example, this crystal I have here, it's kind of hard to see in the camera. This is a labradorite. And this one I'll use with clients if I feel like the energy needs to go up. If I feel like they have a bit of a stellar energy to it. I don't know if you can see this rainbow here. So some clients, I find men, I use labradorite with men more than with women. With women, I'll use a moonstone to take the energy up, to connect them to their star seed or to their star home. Sometimes, this one I use a lot. I have a bigger one that I use during the healings. This is a carnelian. This is a 2nd chakra one, and it deals with emotions that we like to hide. Right?
Yes.
How many times growing up were you told, oh, be a good girl, don't cry?
Oh, my entire life, actually. I was told never to cry. And so obviously that is not helpful to me. And I'm an empath, so it was part of my journey of learning to bring that out.
Yes, yes. And then this one I'm holding here, this is Larimar. I'm sorry, not Larimar, it's an aquamarine. It's an aquamarine, and it helps with communications. So I'm Larimar I'm wearing here right now.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And my ring is a Larimar also. They're dolphin stones. So good for communications, but also good for dolphin communications. So with some clients too, this doesn't happen often, but if I feel that their spirit animal is a dolphin, I'll use a Larimar. So I'll give them 2 crystals to hold. And they lie down, I cover them up so they're nice and warm, because during a healing, the spirit tends to leave the body and the body gets cold.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I will drum to get them to settle down, but also to bring things up from hidden. Drum is a great tool to bring things up, and I have several drums that I will use. A lot of it depends on weather. If it's humid, some drums I can't use. And if it's dry, then some drums are better than others. So I may drum. I may use these bowls. So these are Tibetan singing bowls. I will put them directly on a person. So when they're lying down, I will put them up on their chest, on their stomach, on their legs, and then I'll hit them gently.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
And the vibration goes through the entire body. It's relaxing, but it also pushes out what I call the little stuff, the stuff that's on the surface we can get rid of easily. After that, I will open up and balance their chakras and their aura. There is a process through which I do it. It doesn't really look like much, but it works. There isn't much to see. I kind of go like this with my hand over the chakras.
Okay, and can you feel then when a chakra is closed, obviously, and when it needs to be cleared?
Yeah, as soon as I put my hand there, I'll feel the size of it. I'll see the color of it.
Okay.
So is the first chakra bright red or is it muddy red, for example? I'll also see, is it round? Are the edges rounded or are the edges jagged? So when I balance the chakra, I also get full information about the chakra. And that tells me the person's current situation. I will look, let's say I'm looking at the first chakra. First, I'll look to see how grounded they are, their connection to Gaia.
I love Gaia.
I know.
I'm always grounding myself. I was doing that before you came today, just making sure I was connected and rooted into the earth.
Yeah, that's so important. And then if I see that the connection is not so good, I'll look to see what is a good way, an easy way for them to get that grounding. Some people, I call them water people, water goddesses. So going to the ocean or to the river, to a creek, or even putting their hands under running water will ground them. Some people, crystals will ground them. Here is a smoky quartz. That's a grounding crystal. Some people, I had a lady last Friday, hers was earth, like dirt.
Okay.
So I'll look to see different elements that people can use to help them ground their energy. And I'll tell them that. So that's helpful, I think. I'll also look in their first chakra to see what their connection is to the other people. Meaning, are they out of control? Is the first chakra out of control? And I'll see people in there too. For a lot of empaths, we tend to carry other people's energy with us. We're kind of collectors.
Yes, we do.
Especially if we're very kind people, because an empath knows how hard it is. And they want to help people, right? And so
absolutely.
A lot of empaths are incredibly strong. And so they'll take the energy of others to hold because they can hold it, because they're so strong. But that's not good. So I'll look at that, and then I'll go through every chakra and see the state of each chakra, and I'll communicate that to a person so they'll know. I think this is a great learning experience so you understand yourself. Because that's what really an energy healing is for me. It's about understanding yourself. There are different ways to approach an energy healing. I can just say, oh, you just go about your business. I'll clean up your past life. I'll clean up your energetic attachment. I'll clean up your ancestral karma. I can do that. But that's not helpful because tomorrow you're going to recreate it.
Oh, yes.
Right? Because you haven't learned what you're doing and why you're doing. So an energy healing for me is a learning experience. It's a private classroom, really. Except you're not in beta brain waves as you and I are right now. You're not sitting up and talking, you're lying, and you're in the state of alpha theta brain waves. So you're almost in this dreamlike state when you're going through this process of receiving information from me.
Wow.
And your ego is not in the way. Because that's one of the things I do as part of my setup is I take you out of your body so that the ego doesn't get in the way.
I like that.
So after we go through the chakras, then I'll spend some time sitting with my hands on a person's head, or if I'm not with a person, I'll just spend some time tuning into that person's energy and seeing what is it that we must dive into today. What is the big thing that is the source of their issue today? And I'll also be shown which chakra it's in. Usually it's in the lower three because those are the physical chakras.
Yes.
Our connection with many, connection with our tribe, our connection with another person, and our self-esteem. Not healing those and healing the ethereal chakras isn't helpful because you
Right.
still got to deal with this.
Great point. I like that, that you're bringing that out because it's so important. And we are in the lower 3 chakras here in this density.
Mm-hmm. We got to get those puppies cleared, and that way the energy can flow. They don't talk about Kundalini starting at the heart and floating up.
No.
They talk about Kundalini starting at the bottom and snaking its way up. And in order to do that, the bottom has to be clean and the pathway has to be clean. So I'll look to see, and I'll also be shown by my spirit guides where the problem started. The problem could have started in a past life. Problem could have been brought to this day and age through ancestral karma. A lot of times, I don't know if it's just my experience or it's everybody's experience, people now are very much involved in clearing ancestral karma. It seems like at the soul level, so many people have made agreements to come and to clear that up. I'm seeing so much of that lately. Some people I'm seeing, they were born like that. And you look at their childhood and you see that from their childhood, this is what they've been carrying, and they're here with me today to clear it. Some people, they've been working on their inner journey so much, and they're at a point where they can go further.
Well, and you help facilitate that.
I help facilitate.
Wow, that's huge.
All I do is really hold your hand and
I like that.
Perhaps give you information, but the work the person does themselves. So let's use a past life example. So we will go into a past life, and I'll tell a person about when this happened. I have a pretty good knowledge of history, and that helps me because when I see images of clothes or images of architecture in my head, I can kind of tell at least the century.
Right.
Or I can tell what country. Sometimes I'll also close my eyes and I'll ask my guides to point me on a map to see, is it Northern Europe? Is it Southern Europe? Is it Asia? Is it Africa? So I'll know about where it was because having a historical context to a past life is very useful.
Yes.
And I'll tell a person what I see. I'll ask the person what they see. And no, I've never not had that work. People ask me once in a while, they'll say, has somebody ever not gotten there? And no, people always get there. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer to get there. Sometimes we have to get there and I have to be a little bit sneaky, getting past the person's preconceptions and their ego to get them there, but eventually we all get there. My stomach is growling today.
Oh, that's good. I think that's fantastic. You know, so the work I do, that's when we're moving the chi in the body. So I think the gurgles are huge for moving through the spleen and the liver.
Yeah.
And so you're releasing a lot of good energy here. We're getting your chi flowing. So
Chi flowing into the microphone.
It's fantastic. I hope everyone's enjoying this. I wish I'll have to figure out a way to create a chat session so that we can answer live questions going forward. But so earlier you were talking about like with clearing ancestral karma, and you had mentioned that there were studies done with Holocaust survivors.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I can tell you a lot about that.
Oh,
because
awesome.
That is part of my journey as well. So I'm very familiar. This body, this flesh, this mind is very familiar with that. There have been studies done. There are studies done on not just Holocaust trauma victims and subsequent generations, but with other trauma victims as well. But since I'm familiar with Holocaust a little bit more, I'll talk about the Holocaust. So they looked at children of Holocaust survivors, grandchildren of Holocaust survivors, to see how the experience of the grandparent psychologically and emotionally impacts the offspring.
Wow. And
what they found was if the grandparent, and I hope I'm citing the right study, so don't quote me on that one. I could be wrong. I could be getting several studies confused. It happens. But they found out that if the grandparent, as they were going through trauma, looked at things in quote unquote a spiritual way, in a kind way, if they were able to forgive and not hold and not be angry, then the offspring had less chance of having depression.
Wow.
Again, I could be confusing two studies together because I've read a number of studies, but the reason I'm bringing it up is that it's an actual field that's studied by scientists, and it's been studied for many years. In my personal experience, I was born in Russia, which is the Soviet Union. I was born in Moscow. I wasn't born directly on the ground where the war was fought, but pretty close. My grandmother's father died somewhere near Moscow. We don't know when. On my father's side, everybody was impacted. Well, on my mother's side too, everybody was impacted by the war, but also because we're Jewish, we were impacted by the Holocaust and also by the persecutions done to the Jewish people by Stalin. And when I was young, my dad showed me a huge book. I think it was probably like this, but to me it looked like this. It was huge. I don't know why he did it to me so young, but he showed me a book of Holocaust pictures of Holocaust victims. So for me, I was exposed, and I've been to the Holocaust Museum in Israel. My parents took me there when I was 16. So I've experienced the stories through media. I've experienced the stories through my family. I've experienced the energy by living on that land. My dad was born on the land where there was fighting, I believe. I have to double check on that. My mom was born in Moscow too. So it's really World War II and Holocaust are very much in my DNA. And even though in this lifetime, I have been lucky to grow up in a very safe and kind environment. I've had my troubles, as you know. I have my darknesses, but all in all, I've never feared for my physical safety. Yet, deep inside, I had this feeling that I'd been through a war.
Wow.
And I had this feeling that a war can happen at any moment. And it's much more than my words can describe now, this feeling. It's not like I'm walking around and I hear something fall and I think it's a bomb. No, it's just this general sense of a war could come at any time. And this understanding of, not in my head, but understanding in my tissues of the horror.
So your cellular being
on my
within
cellular,
the cells of the body. Right.
Yeah.
Because that's where so the cellular aspect, I've been reading this amazing book, and it really is talking about us, all our memories, all of our lifetimes, everything is held within the cellular aspect of the body. And our DNA originally was a 12 helix system, and it's now a 2 helix system. So as we remember, as we awaken, as we step into our purpose and become who we are and bring the light into our body, we're going to start to remember all of these lifetimes, all of these events, and all of our memories of who we are. So that aspect being within your cellular being in this lifetime, have you been able to do some clearings of that so that you're not feeling that, you know, that panic that war could happen anytime?
Yes, I've done a lot of work. It has taken years, and it's a work in progress.
Yeah, of course.
But I'm glad I have that, because it's a gift, because it's something that I can help other people with. If I didn't have it within me, I wouldn't be able to understand it in a way that I do. And I wouldn't be able to find compassion for people who are going through that. And it's not just the Jewish people that I see it with. I see a lot of clients who have been impacted by war. I had a client from Asia whose grandfather, I believe, or great-grandfather was in the Korean War, and he was killed. I've also had a client who had ancestors who committed a murder. And this murder was never persecuted. The community knew that it happened, but the government didn't care enough about these people to do anything. And so it was what in the fairy tales we would call it a curse. It wasn't a curse directly, but it was something that the community knew that these two brothers did.
Okay.
They killed a boy, and the energy of that stayed, and it was impacting my client. It wasn't impacting her directly in a way where she was feeling like she wanted to kill somebody or somebody wanted to kill her. It wasn't that. For her, it was loss of energy.
Wow. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. And also for her too, in this life, she takes care of a lot of people.
So almost making amends for what her family line had done. Okay, so that's very powerful.
Very
powerful.
I'm getting chills now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had chills while I was speaking earlier too. So that is just, I feel like I've got to book a session with you now. Like I'm ready to have this done to me. Oh my gosh. So, and then you said you had a client who had a past life from the French Revolution?
Yeah, yes. Let me just finish the past lives really quick. What I see a lot in women is rape.
Well, that's very much a part of what's gone on our planet. And this book that I've been reading, Bringers of the Dawn, right here, it talks about the female aspect really, like over the last 6,000 years, experiencing a lot of rape on our planet. And as we balance the energies back with the male and the female back on this planet, this really needs to come to the top. And we need to process it, and we need to let it go.
Yeah, it's coming to the top a lot.
Yes, a lot. Because this is how we're going to move into the light. Yeah. This is the new harmonics and the new vibration of the planet that's coming. And rape is a very intense aspect. And even the raping of the earth that we're doing, and the raping of the female goddess.
Yeah. And then the other thing that comes up a lot is shut up and bear it. Ugh. For the women especially. So
that feels heavy.
Yeah, like forced marriages. Complete lack of power, complete dependence, that's all coming up. And it's amazing that it is coming up. It's hard stuff to deal with when it comes up. But remember, we deal with it for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour, and then it's healed. Then it's gone. Then there are other things to deal with.
Then everything else floods in.
Yeah, it floods in. But during a session, we go into the darkness and we come out. So we don't have to go there again.
We shine a light into it, right? Yeah, and when we bring the light into the darkness, we dissolve the darkness.
Exactly. So the past life, that's another interesting thing too. So as you know, as intuitive readers and as healers, whatever images and feelings we get in our head, we have to trust those. And we have to say them.
That was so hard for me in the beginning because I'm like seeing this thing and I don't really know what it be. But in it, as I just began to trust and I would tell people, it resonated with them. Yeah. And so it's coming to that realization. It's not really information for me. It's information for them.
Exactly.
That was so hard in the beginning.
And sometimes it doesn't even resonate. So you have to trust that what you're telling is something perhaps that they don't yet understand and they'll understand later.
And I had people go, oh, you're right. Like, I was like, oh, I'm seeing this bird. And this girl was like, oh, my gosh, my mom's been feeding these birds every day. Yeah. And I'm like, well, that's her dad's soul coming through that and speaking to you. And yeah, it's just amazing how many, all these aspects that can come in and affect that healing and bring the information to us. Yeah.
So you have to trust it. So in this past life, I'll tell you about two past lives. The French Revolution one, I'm seeing French Revolution in my head. And I'm seeing a boy, an older boy, I would say 13, 14, so early teens, barefoot, ripped pants that are too short, kind of what you would see if you were to imagine a street urchin. I'm seeing a street urchin. And this street urchin, he's like the leader of street urchins. So there are other kids and they kind of hide in this shed barn type of place, and he's their leader and he makes sure they're fed, And he has a younger sister, or somebody who he has taken on as a sister, and he takes care of her. So he appointed himself as an older brother. I wasn't sure if he's a real older brother. It didn't matter. But to her, he was an older brother.
Okay.
And he was protecting her, and she was young. So, and one of the things they did is they foraged for food, and they stole food. And they were always hungry.
For survival, right?
Survival.
Feels like they were always in survival.
Yeah. So, Street Urchin, French Revolution, and I'm thinking, oh gosh. But I gotta say it. So I tell this to my client, and my client says that his growing up was just like that.
Oh, wow.
He grew up in America.
Wow.
It would have been
It gives me chills. I have just like throughout my body. Wow.
In the 80s. I'm not quite sure if it was local here in California, but in a fairly, I don't want to say upscale, but in a city, I'll say. And one of his parents was a drug addict. And when he was with one parent, things were okay. When he was with another parent, there was no food at home. And he had a younger sister. This life.
All came into this lifetime to play out from the past life.
Yes, exactly the same story. He had this sister, and it was his job to keep her fed and to find food. And sometimes there was no food in the house.
So how do you go about helping them heal that so that they can release that experience and then not repeat it again, or have their children repeat it, or grandchildren?
That's the key point about working with past lives and with ancestral karma is you want to heal it. This is not entertainment. This is not finding out, oh, in a past life I was a piano player and that's why I like to sing. Or in a past life I was in a car accident and that's why I'm afraid to get into a car. That's just finding excuses, in my view.
Okay, I think that's good to let people know that, though. There's far more going on.
Past lives are not entertainment. Ancestral karma is not entertainment. It's information so that you can find peace and so you can heal yourself. And where does the healing happen? It happens in the situation that started it all.
Wow.
So if we're working on a past life, we heal that past life. I'll give you an example. In each life, as in our lives and past lives, we have forks in the road. Forks. You can go one way, one thing is going to happen. You can go another way, another thing is going to happen. There was a movie in the 90s with Gwyneth Paltrow. Do you remember? I forget the name of the movie.
So like a train, I see like train doors while you're saying that. Okay, it sounds familiar. I don't know the name of it, but.
Yeah, so the story was, in one version, she didn't make it to her train, and in another version, she did make it to her train.
Okay.
And her life was completely different. So when she made it to the train, she caught her husband or boyfriend cheating on her with somebody, so that was one way.
Oh, wow.
And the other way, it was something else. So in a past life, in an ancestral healing, clearing, we look at those forks. And I have my spirit guides show me the fork that led to the current situation.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah, and I do this work usually in trance. So I channel an angelic being with whom I have a strong relationship with. So I know that it's her when she comes through.
It's important when you're channeling.
Very important to know who you're channeling. You don't want to be channeling some riffraff or somebody's grandparent who has an opinion about things that may
or even a negative entity can try to step in and manipulate the information.
Yeah, when working with energy, it has to be very controlled. And who is the person who controls? The person who's in charge of the space, the healer. So very important. If you're looking for a healer, make sure you feel safe with them and make sure you feel like they got you. So just like if you were going to go climbing on a cliff, you want to be tethered to a person that you know
it's going to catch you.
It's going to catch you. Yep, same thing. So
I love that analogy. That's wonderful. It's a great way for people to know that, because you feel it. Like, we really need to, with where we're going as a species and where the planet's going vibrationally, we need to step into how we feel, right? And use our gut, like our intuitive sense. We all have it. So not use our thought always. I think we really need to feel. Does it feel comfortable? Does it feel good? Does it feel safe?
Safe, as in, and how does the heart feel? If there is any weirdness,
step out.
Step out.
Be done.
Yeah. Especially if you're healers of the opposite sex.
Okay,
interesting. If there's anything going there, then trust. If you feel like something is off, trust yourself. That's part of your journey.
And discernment. And I've done some videos on discernment this last week. So it's stepping into how you feel and trusting yourself.
Yeah. Now, having said that, a healer can bring up things you don't want to talk about and you don't want to deal with. And, you know, and that's something I have to accept. You may not like me at that moment, but if you trust me and you trust yourself, you'll get far. So I get guided to that fork in the road and to see which way the person went.
Wow.
So I don't remember specifically for that person where the fork was, but let's just say, for as an example, the fork was when that person, I'll use a simple one, when that person lost their parents, when the parents were killed, or let's say when the parents died due to typhoid fever.
Okay.
And that's when the knowledge of history too kind of comes into play, because you kind of know the diseases that went
when
through.
They were here.
And then when you can see in my head, I'll see how, like, the symptoms of the sickness, and then I'll be able to describe it. It doesn't really matter. It just makes it a little bit more precise. So then I look to see, well, I get guided to see, where did they catch that disease? Where did the parents catch it? Okay, let's say for the sake of argument, they drank bad water. So you take it back further and you change their life story so that perhaps they're out of town during the time when there was bad water, or during the time when there was an epidemic and they caught something, they were out of town. A lot of times I see, if it's a war type situation, where a village is getting invaded by a group.
A crusader.
Crusaders, yes. I've had a number of past lives where crusaders were. Then you work it so either the people are out of the village during the invasion, or that the invasion kind of passes them by. So
you're actually going back in time and changing the timeline for that family genetic coding. That's phenomenal. I love that.
You're changing the story, and there are many things you can do to change it. And I always double check too. I always look to see, okay, we're following this path, this new path. How is the person going to die?
Right, and you don't want to make it worse, right?
No, and I also look to see, what is their life like? Are they lonely? Do they have a family? What happens around them on their deathbed? How old they are, and who is around them? So ideally, I want to see them old or done with life, meaning done with life in a good way. Not like I had enough of it, I want to go, but
a positive ending.
Positive ending with people supporting them, either their children, grandchildren, or community. So look, and if I don't see that, then I'll look again, because perhaps they need to go on a different fork, and they need to take another way.
What a gift you have, Dina. I mean, this is just absolutely amazing. I just can't believe that you're here sharing this today. This is just incredible. I really think this can benefit people. But we're going to make sure to give you all of her information so you can get a hold of her, because this is truly, truly a beautiful gift.
Thank you. And at first when I started, I was worried too. I'm going to see all this darkness. And for an empath to be in a war situation all the time, it's heavy. But actually it's not, because my role is to hold space. And to be there with you, to go with you on your journey. My role is not to take the place of a client on that journey. And that's also important for healers to know. Healers have to have very strong boundaries, and we have to understand what our intentions are and who we're there for. And if I were to go into another person's past life, and if I were to experience things as if they were them, that's not useful, because that's not my journey. I'm there to help them with their journey. Now, I do feel things. I feel things physically. Being an empath, that's one of the things that really helps me when I do intuitive readings and healings. I'll feel pressure in my body in different places. So last client I had, I felt pressure in my body right at the very low belly, kind of where if you were to have a C-section, where the scar would be. And she said she was feeling pain in the same place. Or I would get a headache, and then as soon as I would speak about it, it would go away.
It clears.
So I'm very confident in terms of what's mine and what's not mine, and judging by what I feel, that'll tell me if I'm on the right track and what the person is experiencing. Sometimes too, I'll feel like I can't breathe. If it's something that a person, that's a big deal for a person, then I'll have almost like a little mini panic attack, but I know it's not mine. And as soon as I acknowledge it to the person, it goes away. So I'm in there with the person. I see what they see in my head, but I also am feeling what they feel in my body. But it's more of informational rather than experiential.
Wow, that's just tremendous. So I mean, we talked a little bit about before we started song healing. So how do you use like the sound healing do you bring that in and incorporate it when you're helping people move past their karma or their past life karma, their past life trauma?
Sometimes.
It
It depends on the person. People I find who are yogis, yoga teachers, or athletes of any varieties work very much through their body. So giving them a physical sensation is something that they really respond well to, because they're used to using their body. However, on the other hand, a person who's not in their body, giving them a physical sensation to attach to can help to bring them in their body. So these are great. It just depends on what feels right and what I get guided to do. So this one is note A. It is a third eye sound. I'll play it now. And I won't place it right on the forehead, mainly because it won't stay. And I don't want my bowl to be broken. So I'll place several bowls on the body and on the legs. I'll have the person put their legs together so that the bowl doesn't fall through.
Okay, so it vibrates. So, you know, the first time I'd ever had a bowl brought up to me and vibrated into me was my son. And I was really sick, and I know that he's super gifted, and I had asked him, I'm like, can you just come in and see me for a minute? And he took my Tibetan sangol and he played it, and then he held it up to my chin, and it reverberated through my whole body. And I was like, how did you know that? Obviously, it's from, he remembers it. And he wouldn't even consciously admit to you right now, because he's like trying to not say he does this all, but just amazing. I mean, how it felt through my body. And I instantly felt better. Instantly.
Here, let's play it a little bit.
Wow.
And I also do sound healing group sessions. So people come and they'll lie on the floor. And this is for group, and I'll put these on. I have 7 of these. They're different sizes, but this is because they're stackable and I can carry them around. They're so heavy. These are, so if you're buying a bowl, the heavier you can find, the better, because they vibrate very well. And choosing a bowl is a very personal experience. If you're gonna buy one, I recommend you come up with the cash. Don't go cheap.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Thank you for sharing that.
Probably over $100 is the minimum.
Yeah, I have some crystal song bowls there in my cabinet that I had used when I, so, you know, I think it was interesting. I kind of want to cycle back. Earlier you spoke about having surgery and how surgery can be traumatizing for people, but I had surgery last year, and I don't know if you know that about me. I had a pinched disc for 25 years, and my sacral chakra was shut down. And I had put it off, and it really was what led me to all of the modalities that I experienced, because I had so much incredible pain for so many years. And when I finally was at the point where I had to have surgery because it was so excruciating, I prayed about it. And I prayed about having the right surgeon show up. And of course, only one was right, and only one showed up. And I prayed that it actually, and then the day I stepped into surgery, I only saw the perfection of my spine. Like, I never imagined anything else. And I posted a picture of a perfect spine, and everything I did was that. And it changed my life so dramatically, that surgery. My journey of awakening became so much stronger. I became so much stronger. And everything I went through, even though I went through a deep grieving period afterwards, it was a grieving of learning so much information that I was unaware of. And that surgery changed my life, because my entire sacral chakra was shut down, which is my female aspect to who I was. Everything made sense afterwards. Why it happened, how it happened, why I was who I was, why things had happened. So I think it's always our intention, and that's really where I go with my spiritual belief, my intention of what the healing I'm going to get or how it's going to happen. But my youngest had so many surgeries before she was even 4 years old. So I think that's interesting, because it's very traumatizing for a child to go through surgery. So I'm sure that there's an imprint there that could be healed for her. And to have so many at such a young age, it was horrible. So I think there could be, a positive aspect to it. And then obviously the trauma that we carry on in this lifetime. But I also think she brought it in. Yeah. Like, she was bringing it in from a past life, and that's why there were so many surgeries, as a little child. Poor little thing.
Is she all right now?
She is all right now. It was random things, like she wasn't speaking at 18 months old, so she had to have tubes in her ears. And then she was born with a herniated belly button. So after about 3 years old, and it looked like she had a thumb sticking out of her stomach, it was like, we have to fix that. It didn't look right, and kids were starting to say things. So just different things. But it was traumatizing for her to go through those experiences. Yeah. So probably I'll have to bring her over too for some healing too. Well, this has just been amazing. I'm going to wrap it up, because, we both have a life that we have to get back to, but this is just incredible. So if people want to get a hold of you, how are they going to get in touch?
The best way is to go to my website. It's my first name, last name.com, which is dinakleiman.com, and we'll probably have it written down, right?
I'll add it, and then right on this video it says your name. I have your name spelled, so it's just all one word, dinakleiman.com. Yeah. And then they can also find you. You work at Awakenings now?
I work at Awakenings. I do readings there, but the best way is through my website. Just fill out the contact form, and I get back to people pretty quickly, and I'm happy to answer questions too. So if you just want to reach out, say hello, I'm happy to hear from you.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Well, this has just been amazing. Thank you so much for coming today. Thank you. If we get enough questions and interest, then we'll absolutely have her back. So
thank you. Awesome. Yeah, I would love to hear from you. I would love to do an Ask a Healer series. So ask your questions, and I'll answer them to the best of my abilities.
Wow, what a gift. Thank you so much for offering that. So, well, thanks again for showing up. And tomorrow I'm going to do some conversations with Sherry Wisdom with these energy waves that are hitting our planet right now. There's been a lot coming up about the male ego, and then the next wave that's going to hit tomorrow is about the female compassion for what's going on for the male ego that's coming up. So thanks for tuning in, and I will be back tomorrow with some more information, but this is the amazing Dina Kleiman. Thank you for coming. All right. Have a great day.